perfect. So, hi everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. It's great that we have you for your lunch times. My name is Daniela, and I'm here representing the Oxford College of Marketing. We specialize in qualifications for marketers, and we have lots of other bits and bobs on as well. I'd just like to note that this webinar is being recorded and it will be sent out afterwards, but just in case you didn't know, today is the MarTech Club and it's hosted by Robin McMillan. This session will be on from personalization to hyper-personalization, tailored marketing in the MarTech era. And just in case you haven't met Robin McMillan is a self-proclaimed nerd who is put on this earth to help organizations and individuals understand their marketing data, demystify MarTech, and make complicated things more accessible. So she's well qualified to lead this talk today, and she leads every MarTech webinar session as well. So how we typically run the MarTech Club is that we have a presentation from Robin first, and then afterwards we have time for questions. Otherwise, you're more than welcome also to use the Q&A chat function to drop any questions, and I can read them out whilst Robin gets on with her presentation. But otherwise, shall we get started?
Yes, as always. Whenever you do that introduction, I always get proper hyped up, like I'm about to walk into like on stage. I love it. It's it's one of my favorite times.
Like your fight call out, ding ding.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so today we're going to talk about where we've been within marketing. So we've sat in personalization for a very long time. And we're going to move and talk about hyper-personalization and what's allowing us to do that, why it's important, and the impacts that that is having not only on us from a marketing angle, but also from our consumer side. So what are people now expecting from us? How connected do we now need to be to drive people through our sales funnel to make that next step or to follow a call to action? So it's quite an interesting session today. Everything is incredibly noisy within the marketing world, the digital marketing kind of expectations that we as marketers now have to fulfill. I don't know about you, but as I started in this world in 2014, and my to-do list keeps getting longer. The expectations, the needs, the wants, the things that we need to do to stay connected and stay relevant as brands to our communities, our clients, and our consumers. So personalization and hyper-personalization are ways that we can actually stay connected in a much more authentic, relevant, and understandable way. So in today's session, what we're going to do is we're going to explore practical strategies for personalization. We're going to look at real-time approaches. We're going to look at what I have dubbed the zombie campaign, and that is the resurrection of the Share a Coke campaign with the names on the cans, and how that moved from personalization to hyper-personalization. And we're going to look at how it's even possible for us to be here now. But brands need to know and understand that this technology is now accessible to us in a very wonderful way, and how we can move with this kind of movement and actually connect with our audiences in a way that they want to be connected with, in a way that they understand, and in a way that is actually purposeful, right? It's no longer appropriate to do one email to all of your list, yeah? But we've known that for a while. So let's take it back, all the way back to actually discussing what personalization truly is from a marketing perspective, yeah? And personalization has always been more than just using a customer's name in an email. It's actually about leveraging everything we know about an individual, including their preferences, their past interactions, their real-time digital behavior, to deliver experiences that actually feel tailor-made. Yeah. At its kind of center, at the heart of all of this, personalization is the ability to determine and to serve the next best experience for each user. It also allows you to align that with their needs, while moving your own business forward, your own organization forward. And as I've said, in today's competitive kind of world, this busy, noisy world that we exist in, we have to incorporate this level of personalization because customers now expect brands to understand them. Yeah, we collect so much data within our sector. We are literally like a dragon hoarding gold. We have access to all of these different experiences, people's journeys, where they come from. So we should be able to anticipate their needs and communicate in a way that feels relevant and timely. Because when done right, personalization actually boosts engagement, increases conversions, and builds lasting customer loyalty. It's a win-win, all right. But as we know, successful things require good technology, great data, clean data. So there's a lot that actually goes into personalization that could mean that you get a good outcome that is purposeful, useful, your client feels seen and heard, or we could actually end up alienating these individuals because all of a sudden we've sent them something that is incredibly not relevant or it feels intrusive, for example. So that is what personalization is at its kind of base situation. Yeah, it's the way that we aimed to connect with these wonderful people that we want to bring into our world to purchase from us, to work from us, to advocate for us. And it's our way of using the information we know to complete that process. So that's where we've sat for a very long time. Because if we actually look at the timeline of personalization, started in the 1990s, I was born in 1992, and this is the basic personalization. So this is where we started to do direct mail. Early email campaigns used very simple data like names or locations. The key tools here were CRMs, mail merge tools. And the only example I can really give you of personalization from this kind of time is Dear John in an email rather than hello, whoever. Yeah, it was actually allowing us to put names into these kind of processes and to potentially large segments on locations such as postcode. We then start to kind of move into website personalization. Yeah, and this is where websites started adapting content based on user segments. And this is where the use of cookies allowed us to do that within marketing, early CMS systems, and basic analytics. We then move on to the 2010s, which is where we really saw this boom in data-driven personalization. Yeah, because we all of a sudden had access to cookie information and customer data and behavior insights to tailor experiences across email, web, and mobile moving forward. So this is where we also saw marketing automation platforms like HubSpot, Marketo, and advanced CRMs. We then ended up in the world of predictive and AI-powered personalization. So actually it started maybe a lot earlier than people start to recognize because it's only really now that it's incredibly accessible and even my mum can use AI now, yeah? And this is where AI and machine learning enables real-time decision-making and that predictive targeting. So we went from that kind of basic, Dear John, how are you, to actually be like, oh, they purchased wine on a Wednesday 3 times in a row. They obviously want to go into this kind of segment. And now we're kind of within the world of hyper-personalization and omni-channel orchestration. And what that kind of very jargony sentence means is it allows us to personalize a journey across multiple different kind of places they have been in contact with our brand, our marketing, our organization. So that could be things like real-time customer data platforms, AI, identity resolution, orchestration platforms. So this is where your MarTech stack really started to bloom realistically. And we started to be able to connect all of that information into one place to then make decisions on how to talk to, how to target, and how to create content even for these wonderful individuals that we want to bring in. We want to bring them to our yard. And then if we look at the kind of future, where we're going to go next, and that is predictive, proactive, and privacy conscious personalization. So that's because we're now entering that world of zero and first party data, privacy by design, personalization without cookies. And we're kind of then in the world of modeling, predictive modeling that anticipates customer needs before they arise. So what you can see is we started off being able to say hello name rather than hello. And then what we're now able to do is across a full journey, optimize, iterate, and change that experience so that person feels seen, heard, and validated. And that is the key thing that hyper-personalization does. It allows your consumer, person from your community, your individual to recognize that your brand, your processes truly understand who they are and what they need, and be preemptive in that choice, and be preemptive in ensuring that they get served the right information, the right product, the right service that you provide at their time of need. So there's some key changes that we need to kind of understand though between personalization and hyper-personalization. And the first is the data sources. So personalization, you use basic data, static data like name, gender, location, or past purchases. It could even be held within a spreadsheet, or it's basic tags within your CRM. And an example there is sending an email that includes a customer's first name and a product, kind of detailing maybe their recent order and what else they could kind of move forward from. But hyper-personalization leverages real-time behavioral, contextual, and intent data. So this is real-time information that is pulled into a hyper-personalization piece of software, which shows people's browsing patterns, device type, time of day. And that allows you to do things like recommending products based on what a user is currently viewing in real time. So personalization is slightly delayed. It could be a slight nod to knowing who an individual is, whereas hyper-personalization through email marketing, for example, that we've been talking about here, allows you to make good choices on what you're going to expect that person to do next in real time. And the software can send out an email, scooping up that person in their time of need without you actually being there realistically. We then have audience targeting. So just personalization focuses on segmented groups with shared traits or behaviors. So these could be things where you've segmented all of your data into large segments, such as frequent buyers or new subscribers. But hyper-personalization is where you can deliver a one-on-one experience tailored to individual users. And this is where we're offering up custom content or offers unique to one's user's specific journey and preference. It's one of my biggest bugbears when I recognize from a brand that I've been put in like a female 30 to 40 group. And it's very obvious that that is what the kind of content that I am being fed. But okay, you can still segment me into that, but actually recognizing I came from TikTok, which is short form video content, and you're then sending me short form content, you're more likely to get me engaged because it's the right type of content that I am going to be drawn to. I am happy to read that. But if you send me a 3 PDF long email telling me so much information, I'm going to switch off before I've even scrolled up. So it is also about feeding the needs of those people you want to purchase from you. So it's really interesting, the difference there, the way you target is different. The next is timing. So personalization is typically scheduled or is triggered by a fixed event. So for example, if somebody abandons their cart, you can then send a discount a few days after a purchase. Yeah. So it's a timed experience. As soon as they abandon their cart, 3 days later, you send them an email with a coupon. Yeah. So you're personalizing it there because you are recognizing the products that they wanted to do, their name, and also offering them a way to access that product or service in relation to their behavior. But hyper-personalization allows you to actually react in the moment. So adapting dynamically to real-time user behavior. So this is where you could instead show a discount offer as soon as somebody hesitates on the checkout page, in a pop-up, in a, I've lost the word in English and in Swedish, in a chatbot that comes out onto the website. So you're being incredibly proactive. As a user, I'm sitting there going, oh, maybe it's a bit too expensive. Maybe I don't actually need it. Or 25% coupon. Yes, please. And we've moved forward. Whereas personalization, we would have to wait for somebody to create an event like totally abandoning a cart. And that would need to be picked up in GA4, for example, fed into your CRM. Whereas these hyper-personalization softwares allows you to be present without having to be present. Yeah. Of course, technology, that's where we're at now. So personalization uses basic marketing automation. So this is where we're sat within our CRM rules and our logic-based systems. And this is things like your CRM, really, that will trigger these kind of responses. But hyper-personalization, which has had this boost in injection from AI technology, machine learning, and predictive analytics, allows us to give real-time solutions, which is a huge difference. How often have you looked at 4 or 5 websites for something like a new handbag, a backpack, a laptop bag, and you've got information overload? So being actually allowed as a brand to connect and give options in real time through these systems, it's much more powerful, because by the time those people have looked through those multiple websites, we're just going to go for the one that's going to give us the biggest discount a couple of days later in our emails. Yeah. The world is incredibly saturated. So having these systems in place to connect, nurture, and be present when it is important to be present, that is the key to moving things forward much quicker. We then have channels. So personalization is normally one channel at one time. So that is something like email or website. Yeah. Hyper-personalization orchestrates consistent experiences across multiple touch points: web, mobile, email, app. Yeah. So this could be something like a product recommendation shown in an app, followed by a matching email and potentially a push notification, depending on your ecosystem. So we can be in multiple places. Yeah, we can be catching the excitement in multiple places and just showing that we do care. We do know that this person wants something and we can offer that. The user experience is incredibly different. So personalization now feels somewhat relevant, but can still feel generic or repetitive. So seeing the same recommended products regardless of your recent behavior. An example I always put here is Pandora went down the very intense kind of personalization route. So if you visited their website once and you looked at silver rather than gold, that is all you were ever shown. What if I was looking for a gift for my friend who loves gold compared to silver? All of a sudden, I was like bombarded with only what I love. And I didn't even recognize that Pandora offered anything else. Yeah. So it's about actually being able to be constantly changing to the needs of the person and why they are there in kind of your whole world. And then, of course, the business impact is very different. So personalization increases engagement and loyalty to a degree, but it has kind of plateaued in its effectiveness. You can get a moderate lift in open rates or click-throughs, but hyper-personalization does result in higher ROI deeper engagement, and improved customer lifetime value. We all know that it is so expensive to get a new client, right? That chasing a new client. But to resell to somebody who was already within our world because we make them feel valued, we offer them the right thing at the right time, it's incredibly valuable for organizations at the moment. So we've done personalization, the definition, we've looked at the differences, but the key definition of kind of hyper-personalization is the use of real-time data, AI, and predictive analytics to deliver highly relevant, individualized experiences to customers across multiple channels. Yeah. It goes beyond traditional personalization, and it dynamically adapts content, offers, and messaging based on a customer's current behavior, context, or intent. Yeah, so that's the definition that we're kind of sitting with there. So why can we do that now and not have done that before? And that is because we have this abundance of customer data. And we have systems that generate so much information about the people that we interact with. We've got things from websites, apps, emails, social media, and even offline interactions. So this rich behavioral, transactional, and contextual data informs these real-time changes for that personalization. Advancements in AI and machine learning. Of course, we know now that algorithms can process this information really quickly. It's suddenly accessible. It's integrated into so many platforms we already work with and live within as marketers. And we can now dynamically start to deliver that next best action without that big processing time, that stalling between the interactions. Real-time technology infrastructure. So our modern kind of MarTech stacks can ingest, process, and then act on data instantly. And I'm not even saying that you have to have a huge MarTech stack. You just have to have your website connected to GA4, connected to your CRM, which is probably what we all have access to, or the back of your Facebook connected to your email segmentation system. So even like this could work for large companies, but even individuals who have access to data that can be put against an individual's name and contact details, you can be moving forward with hyper-personalization. We then have the fact that customer expectations have changed. We don't want to feel like one of many because we're going to go and find a brand that makes us feel special. Yeah. Customers, we expect relevance in every interaction. How often have you actually signed up to an email marketing list and got bored after the third or fourth because you actually realize, well, actually, this isn't for me. This is not what I thought it was. And that is purely because the information you are being fed by that brand you were attracted to just isn't now being sent to you in a way that you consume. So we need to keep people engaged, happy, and offer these meaningful expectations and these meaningful interactions with contextual messages, or else people will jump ship. And they're doing it more and more because we have so much choice now. We have this shift towards omni-channel engagement. We know that people go to multiple places, not just our website anymore, or not just our Facebook page. I do it myself. I find the brand I love, maybe on TikTok, because I scroll there quite a lot. And then I'll go and Google, I'll look at Reddit for reviews. We know that there's so much of that journey that we need to be available within. We have competitive pressure. There's so many organizations that are making people feel incredibly seen, valued, and heard. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, to name the biggies, but there's so many small organizations that are truly making spaces for people to feel relevant. And then, of course, improved ROI measurements. So we can now track things in a much better way. So the data that we collect, the data that we then utilize, we can actually use that. It's not just a we assume that this happened because we had a click-through rate that went up here. No, we can now track every event across multiple channels, put that data into these hyper-personalization systems, and then iterate, change, and create meaningful, relevant kind of processes. Yeah. So I just kind of want to add on a thought about the kind of different impact here. We get this significantly higher customer engagement. So we can deliver good messages at the right time. And by using behavioral cues, brands craft interactions that feel personal, helpful, rather than generic or disruptive. We also get wonderful increased conversions and revenue growth from that, because a customer browsing running shoes on a mobile may be shown a relevant discount within minutes via a good notification. And for me, that is when boosting purchase is incredibly important, because we get distracted. We're like magpies when we're on the internet, yeah? We see one thing and we're like, oh, that's a great bargain. Oh, it's a little bit out of my price range. Imagine getting that 25% coupon. Or if somebody is debating whether to move forward with counseling or coaching, imagine getting a pop-up, because there is that behavioral hesitancy. They're on a page taking in information, but they're not quite picking that discovery call. Imagine getting the offer of downloading a PDF of "Is coaching for me?" So all of a sudden, what you're doing is you're overcoming the issues that have been created in that individual's mind, their experience, during that time where it is the most relevant. That PDF, that download, for example, is relevant in the moment. It's not as relevant on a time-triggered abandoned cart that happens 3 days later. Yeah. So we're just scooping these individuals into our kind of world at the time that they truly need that kind of nudge, that recognition that they exist, and that we as an organization, a brand, recognize that. Yeah. We get stronger customer retention and loyalty because we are making these people feel special, seen, heard, and that is part of the human experience. So by actually doing that, what we're doing is giving them a process to understand that we see them. And that's why we get that stronger customer retention. We get better marketing efficiency and ROI. We get real-time responsiveness, which we haven't had in the way that we have access to it now, and that enhanced omnichannel experience. So what does this actually look like in real life? And as you know, whenever I do one of these sessions, I try to cement it in a way that you can go away and look at, or you can go away and do. And today I've got an example of something that's gone from personalization to hyper-personalization. And that is the marketing campaign by Coca-Cola, the Share a Coke campaign. So I don't know if you all remember, but I was absolutely obsessed in 2011 to find my name on some sort of Coca-Cola can, bottle, whatever was out at the time. So Coca-Cola replaced its iconic logo on bottles and cans with 150 of the most popular names within a certain area. It was bold. It was simple. It was rooted in personalization and human connection. So the reason that Coke actually did this was to reignite the love for that brand. Yeah. Especially among the younger kind of consumers at the time. Because by making the product feel personable and shareable, it enhanced that brand's value within that individual's world. Yeah. So the key elements that were kind of within this campaign was the physical cans and bottles with names that were in store, traditional media, TV, outdoor, in-store displays, for example, and everything was encouraging individuals to find the names and share bottles with their friends. That was the whole process. Yeah. And social sharing was largely organic within this process. The personalization aspect came from the individuals finding their name, getting excited by that, and then wanting to share that process. It actually became a global phenomenon, and it spread to over 80 countries in the kind of following years. And it was praised for personalization, simplicity, and emotional resonance. And it drove both sales and brand love. I was one of these people that was so excited that I made my mum go to every Morrison's that was close to us because they had a bigger choice than anywhere else at the time. And I remember my auntie calling my mum to say that she'd found one with my name on, because Robin's quite a rare name with a Y. So it was quite interesting to have this kind of experience. I was so obsessed with this, and I know a lot of my friends were, and the whole personalization aspect brought a brand that we don't need. We don't need Coca-Cola in our lives, right? But it became integral to kind of my school experience at the time. So it was really interesting that this was kind of how I probably one of the first experiences of personalization that I can remember from a marketing point of view. So then we're now in 2025, yeah. And we've now got this revived and upgraded campaign concept. So this is where we're bringing Share a Coke back. But what they've actually done here is they've fused that nostalgia with digital experiences and hyper-personalization. And the whole focus, Coca-Cola talks about this very openly on their website, within their blogs, their social media, and they're actually wanting to connect with Gen Z and push forward with their desire for meaningful real-world connection in this new digital age, this wonderfully kind of buzzing with opportunity kind of marketing options at the moment. So their current objective is to reconnect with Gen Z by tapping into their need for authenticity, creative expression, and hybrid experiences, and also the personalization aspect. I don't know if any of you are still the same, but when I go on holiday to like Wales or somewhere like that, I look and see if my name is on a piece of rock. We've got this innate kind of desire to see ourselves in products, and it helps us to connect with those. Still don't often find Robin. So if any of you do, let me know on LinkedIn. But there's a different kind of sway on this. It's not just anymore about the names within the bottles. It's kind of moved past that. So they're still featuring these named bottles and cans across 120 countries, but there's deep digital integration that allows for hyper-personalization. So there's actually now the Coca-Cola app and on-pack QR codes, which leads to a digital hub. The Memory Maker tool, which I have some pictures of in a little bit, lets fans create personalized meme-style videos to share. You can actually customize your own name packaging, not only on a bottle. So if you've got like a nickname for a friend, or you've got an unusual name, for example, or one of my friends, as I was talking about this, her name isn't really known in the country that she's moved to. So she's actually bought one to send back to herself. So really interesting. And now it is a social first strategy because there's a lot of influencers. If you go onto the website, you will see a lot of TikTok influencers, real kind of content creators, all showing their personalized experience with this. There's also a lot of IRL brand activations, such as share a meal bundles at McDonald's. There's a brand film, The Magic of Sharing, reinforcing the emotional storytelling. But as soon as you enter the digital hub, the hyper-personalization within this campaign is actually quite intense. It's not only emails, it's push notifications, it's offering of products that have got your name on it already or someone else has purchased. So whereas before, the personalization allowed us to kind of connect organically, this is forcing us to recognize that our name, our identity is within this campaign. And then we are deciding how we're going to interact and and move that kind of forward. Yeah, so it's a big difference. And those differences are fueled by the new technology that we have access to, the accessibility of AI to process that information of your behavior and the way you come into the hub, and then the data that that hub collects. So it's a lot more on that hyper-personalization kind of side. But I have dubbed this the zombie campaign. Yeah, because it's a revival of the old kind of campaign that was based on social relevance into this intense personalization process. So why does this matter for marketing? Why have I brought this in to this kind of session today? Because there's a cultural relevance here. So Coca-Cola is keeping the core idea intact that worked really well in 2011, personalization and sharing, but has evolved the format and messaging for a new generation's values, media habits, expectations, and access to technology. The experience has massively changed. So in 2025, it's about co-creation, not just consumption. So empowering consumers to do something, to interact, rather than just the organic sharing. And it has a bigger sway on emotion and authenticity. Gen Z doesn't just want ads because they are a certain age, because they're in a certain postcode. They want real, emotional, and participatory brand experiences. And Coca-Cola is aiming to align with that. So this zombie resurrection, this pullback of this campaign, they're hoping to elevate with this new hyper-personalization process. Did anyone even recognize that this was out again? Did anyone see it? Because realistically, it's been quite interesting, because the way I knew this was out again was through a marketing blog that I connect with, who was talking about, whoa, this is back again. And we like back in like the 2010s, and why is this coming back? There's been a really interesting kind of thought process about this. I loved it at the time, but the intrusion, actually, when I signed up for this new experience, it was too much for me. So it was the fact it was like, oh, Robin, it's like your birthday and la la la, do you want to buy yourself this? And I was like, where have you got that information from? Like, I just put my like email in. So it's about recognizing as well that these hyper personalized experiences may not align with different generations overall. So it's really interesting to them. Where is the line? Like, what do we actually need to be aware of? So some of the key themes that are coming out from this, and if you have a quick Google, you'll see two sides of the same coin. And while millennials, I was truly wowed by seeing my name on a bowl. Yeah, I was so excited. But other generations like Gen Z, they've grown up in a algorithmic world, actually, where hyper personalization is the default. Yeah, Spotify Wrapped tells them who they are. Netflix curates their every mood, whatever they need, like they get. Like if you need like a romance to like help you through a breakup, Netflix knows, and it will tell you that's what you need to watch. Yeah, and their phones predict what they want before they search it. So the challenge here is simply seeing Liam or Zara on a Coke might actually feel more retro than innovative, even though the personalization side of it is very different. Yeah, it's very, very different. There's this thing as well about this nostalgia versus cringe factor. So this campaign actually banks heavily on nostalgia. But when you look at how different generations actually interact with things like personalization, nostalgia it's in our millennial playbook. Yeah. But for Gen Z, who view like early 2010s aesthetics with kind of ironic kind of detachment, it wasn't important to them. This could actually backfire if not handled with self-awareness and authenticity, which I think is why they've really pressed into this meme format, which I'll show you in a second as well, to try and marry the outcome that they got in 2011 from personalization into this new world of data accessible hyper-personalization. As we all know, trying too hard to revive the past may read as trying too hard. And especially on platforms like TikTok, where cultural fluency is actually everything. Yeah. There's also a bit of a sustainability tension with this, because as we've kind of understood more about how customization of things like this, so millions of plastic bottles with unique names, in a time of climate anxiety, even though people are getting this like beautiful experience, they're being told about all these wonderful things from the hyper-personalization side, Gen Z is actually the most eco-conscious generation to date, and marketing that doesn't align with those values can cause backlash. So there's a lot that's like so-so. And Coca-Cola is repositioning its product as a social object in this new version. It's a digital first expression of Coca-Cola. Now, is that actually relevant when Coca-Cola is a drink? It's a product you buy, right? And it's very interesting how they're trying to turn it into a community kind of process within this campaign. So joining the hub and getting all these personalized experiences, it's will it pull off in the way that kind of it's expecting to? So one of my favorite lines that I read recently was that this is a bold play that could go flat, right? Because it's about soda. I thought that was hilarious. I think I told like maybe 14 people that day when I saw it. And the fact that the personalization aspect worked well within its time, is this the right product, the right campaign to really lean on hyper personalization for Coca-Cola? We'll have to see. Yeah. So the differences in the personalization are like we've kind of highlighted them. Yeah, so in 2011 it was the power of the name, and that is how we did a lot of personalization at the time. So by swapping out that kind of logo with popular first names, we were making people feel seen in a way where they could see their name on the product. Yeah. So it was using static data, one to many. So it's the same product, slight variation, mass appeal, minimal interactivity, but a lot of social sharing happened, and emotional resonance rooted in novelty. I remember my mum got one with her nan's name on because she'd like passed away. So it's like this very social construct of naming and what names mean to us moving forward. But this is the meme format that they allow you to make, so you can put all your friends' names with these quirky. These are the safe for work versions. There are many others. And here instead it is about using your name to drive your next decision with that hyper personalization. It's about co-creation. It's about digital experience and digital sharing. So the way that this is different is it's hyper personalized. From the Coke has my name to this Coke reflects my voice, humor, and relationships. That's a very simple way of trying to put it. It's not just a name anymore. It's my behavior. It's my experience. It's the reason I am here in the hub. I can share that with others. It's not about a static identity anymore, which it was before. It's dynamic. It's based on behavior, device, mood, and moment. So there's different options from the kind of hub moving forward. And what hyper-personalization is allowing Coke to do here is keep their branding relevant within user-generated content. So it's really interesting that this shift of value has gone from I feel special because my name is on a bottle, yeah, to I'm now shaping the experience and sharing it on my terms in a way that I enjoy and connecting with others in ways that feel personal and meaningful. They couldn't have done what they're doing now back then, but is it going to work doing what they did back then in a new technological experience? So it's it's a bit I'm unsure. I don't know where to place my bet yet, but there's a lot of chatter about this kind of online. But I don't know if any of you have a kind of thought about the kind of resurgence of this campaign, or any reasons why you think it will or won't work. But one of the things that I always say is if you can put somebody's name on it, they will probably buy it. We love that kind of thing. We have notebooks with our names on, we have pens with our names on, we have all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give you a list of hyper-personalization tools that you can go away and try. These all have a minimum of a 14-day free trial. And then they're obviously, depending on your world, you would have to kind of decide if you wanted to carry on or not. So these tools, these hyper-personalization tools, and what makes them different from normal personalization tools is because we are basing the kind of process on individualization. And hyper-personalization is a customer-centric term, meaning to be unique and absolute to the individual customer. So that's what you're looking for. Is that tool capable of me creating content from their data on a one-on-one basis? Yeah. And they allow you to create a series of interactions that strengthens a customer's emotional connection to a product or a company. Yeah. And we're looking at emphasizing to a customer, rather than a segment. They may belong to different segments, but people are individual, even within a broad tag. So when you're looking at, or kind of going away after this and going, oh, I'm going to have a look at some hyper-personalization tools, be careful, because some are actually just segmentation tools in disguise. Yeah, because they still can only do to a group of people. They can't do that one-on-one. So that's what we want to be focusing on when we're looking at kind of tools and tech to support this kind of way we want to connect and validate and enjoy, right? So we start with dynamic yield. So their kind of spiel is all about creating lasting impressions with customer experiences that are personalized, optimized, and synchronized. And this is a process where they algorithmically match content, products, and offers to each customer's preference. Great piece of tech, that is. Qualtrics. This is where you can target your outreach to ensure you reach the right people at the right time. So they use over 20 behavioral and different base criteria and seamless integration with like Adobe and Google. So you can easily deliver more personalized experiences. So that's just about connecting your data and then making those decisions on what you want to do. Salesforce. Glorious omni-channel personalization, and honestly one of my favorite things that you can do within Salesforce. So not only do you kind of market to your segments like through courses and things like that, but actually you could be like, oh, actually this person looked at these pages, so they're more likely to choose a short course which is less than 12 weeks long rather than something that's up to a year, for example. And you can actually really, really dial in on the who, the what, and the why of what you're offering to these individuals within Salesforce. Glorious process in there. Bloomreach, this is e-commerce personalization powered by AI. Product discovery, content management, and conversational shopping. So at every touch point in the shopping journey, for any kind of e-commerce shopping journey, customers see what they want to buy. So it's really interesting there. We have Mailmodo that sends interactive emails and sets up kind of processes powered by AI that will grow your kind of numbers in your sleep. So it actually allows you to create custom email designs and copy for every need. So every segment of one. So it's really powerful, actually. Hyperize. So this is quite an interesting hyper-personalization tool. So this is where you can increase the engagement on your outreach with personalized images. So we're allowing this system to create personalized images from hundreds of templates and stock images based on the data we feed it. So we can actually create content that is so that person that we are sending it to. So it's quite powerful there. So we are aiming for a segment of one, yeah? And as I said before, that segment of one refers to the ultimate goal of hyper-personalization. where marketing is no longer built for groups of people, what we call segments, what we've always called segments, yeah, but for each individual customer uniquely. Instead of putting someone in a predefined bucket, like loyal shopper or Gen Z, female in urban area, a segment of one treats each person as their own audience, with messaging, content, timing, and offers tailored specifically to them based on that glorious data, that context, that behavior, and those preferences. And the aim of hyper-personalization is maximum relevance, deep emotional connection, purposeful content, and is created by leveraging data and AI effectively. So instead of sending a promo email to everyone who abandoned their cart once a week, a segment of one strategy might look like it recognizes that you abandoned a cart at 9:37 while using a mobile in a certain zone. So what this process could then do was wait until you're on Wi-Fi and at home later that evening. What it can do then is trigger a personalized push notification from an app, an ad, with a discount for the specific item that you viewed, knowing you respond better to push notifications than an email. Yeah. So in short, a segment of one is marketing at its most personal, precise, and effective. It's the end goal of hyper-personalization, because we want every customer to feel like the brand is only speaking to them. That's the goal. And that is where we will end up, in this proactive, privacy first, precise hyper-personalization moving forward. So this is kind of how your MarTech stack all sits together. Don't worry, you don't need all of these. These are just examples. I'm not saying go away and buy 40 different platforms, yeah? But what we need is something that gathers and utilizes consumer data. And that could be a very basic CRM in the back of your website, a lead gen process. We then need something that creates the hyper-personalized content. Now, what you will see is that some of these, like I know that HubSpot's marketing and CRM can also do this. So some of your platforms will do like more of this pie than others, yeah? And then what we need to do is then something needs to distribute that across different like touch points. And then we need something to kind of bring it all together so we can see the impact of that. So it's just about having the right data fed into the right platform with the right delivery process. Once you've got that kind of sorted out, everything starts to fall into place for your hyper-personalization. What is happening though is there is a little bit of creepiness when it comes to hyper-personalization. And this is when over-personalization starts to seep into marketing. And it feels creepy. How did they know that about me? Or it assumes too much, pushing content based on a one click or an assumption, yeah? Gets too intimate too quickly, referencing personal milestones like my birthday from Coca-Cola, or behaviors in public or that kind of thing, and fails to consider context. So one thing that quite often happens is sometimes organizations will continue to send like baby products after a miscarriage, for example. So it's incredibly important that we don't end up in this world, because it is bad for marketing. It erodes trust. We don't want to feel surveyed. We don't want to feel tracked. We don't want to feel like somebody's like, what are you doing now? When are you going to next buy this? Here's a coupon. Like, you don't really want that. We just want to stay away from any privacy concerns. If a brand knows this much about me, what else do they know? You don't want any of that, because we don't want to break that customer experience. Overly specific personalization can feel jarring, emotionally tone deaf, especially if it is delivered in the wrong context, wrong time, or wrong channel. Yeah. And what this also does is it increases our opt-outs and our unsubscribes. So if personalization feels too pushy, people are more likely to opt out of your tracking, and then you can't hyper-personalize anyway. unsubscribe from your communications or mute or unfollow your brand. And we need eyes on what we're doing, because the more seen we are, the more we can help those individuals. Yeah. It also, sometimes within AI models, we can create false assumptions. So because these are just systems, they are just tools, they can misread behavior. So over-personalizing based on incomplete or inaccurate data can result in messaging that really does turn customers off from our organization. We don't want to be violating our privacy boundaries either. So our customers are willingly exchanging data for value, and that value is context that we send back to them. But when the exchange feels one-sided or manipulative, it crosses that ethical gray area and really can damage brand reputation. So prioritize consent and transparency, use contextual sensitivity. I always say test for creepiness. So see if it does feel a bit invasive. And if it does, it probably is. Balance automation with empathy and focus on value, not just data. Yeah. Over-personalization happens when marketers forget that personalization is about relevance and respect, not just data and targeting. Done wrong, it damages relationships, but done right, it does build trust, loyalty, and long-term value over time. So, has anyone got any questions for me before we end today?
Feel free to pop any questions in the chat.
Yes,
Or
Marna, I will send over the blogs in the follow-up for this, because they are quite interesting. It's interesting how Coca-Cola's talking about it too.
perfect. Great.
Oh, amazing.
Yes, I've never managed to pin down my name. Maybe I'm doing it in the wrong country.
Yeah, like my friend's she's only named Sarah, but it's without an H, and she's
okay.
so she just can't find it. And she loved it so much that when we were kids, she's now obsessed with it. Like, do you know what I mean? She's like, I need to find it. And she's like on all these forums trying to find it. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, it's not that fun. Like, so. Ooh,
Lisa Draddle put into the chat, do you have any other examples of brands getting hyper-personalization wrong?
Oh, a very recent one that I fell victim to was Spotify's AI Wrapped this year. I don't know if anyone else experienced that. Where
What went wrong with your rap?
so it was basically where the AI system that they implemented made very broad assumptions and created genres and themes that were so obtuse. It was like a string of words that was like unicorn, pony, princess, in the forest. And I'm like, how am I going to search for more songs that fit in that when I can't be searching that? I'm going to end up on a list somewhere. Like it's like you can't do that. So yeah, the Spotify one, Pandora, but they have reversed that. Also, I don't know if you saw the kind of stuff about Bumble. They hyper-personalize and totally change based on incorrect data. We did do a session on the Bumble Fumble, which is it'd be on YouTube now, that one, if you would like to go back and read that. But there's quite a lot. Because AI is so accessible now, what's happening is organizations are putting in rubbish data that's not clean. So it's making assumptions and then segmenting and marketing to one based on the wrong things. And that's the problem.
Yeah, Mark Salter popped in the chat that he also had the same thing happen to him. So
yeah, like it was really like, I love Spotify Wrapped because I love that it calls me out for the weird like stuff that I listen to throughout the year, and I love that it showcases like other bands and things like that, but it was just pretty unusable like this year. And the visuals were not great, and you could tell that they were AI generated. That's an interesting one.
That's a shame.
I feel like it's a thorn in my foot. I didn't realize I'd have that kind of reaction that when I said that, but yeah, it was not great.
Yeah, it's interesting to see kind of where this can take us in the future and how organizations and brands that we recognize and know will be using this. Obviously, Coca-Cola and then
Yeah, the zombie campaigns will come out, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
I'm definitely sure.
And also I think people don't realize that they can now do this with the platforms they have access to. So it's about seeing what your platforms can now do if they can do the one-to-one marketing rather than the one to a segment. So it's especially Salesforce, it's phenomenal.
I'm gonna have to learn more about that.
I'll send it you. Like I'll send you all the information. I think
Yes.
I have a folder.
More than welcome. More than welcome to send me that via email after we wrap up.
I'll hook you up, Daniela. No problem.
Thank you, Robin. Anyway, so it might be worth wrapping up for today. Is that all good, Robin?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's been a joy.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, in terms of what we can help you with at the Oxford College of Marketing, I've popped some links in the chat, so you're more than welcome to go over to our website. What we typically recommend students that hop onto the MarTech Club is our AI accredited qualification with the CIM. Oh, I'm going to take, perfect. Nice to know, Mark. So that's typically what we recommend to our students. It's a short form qualification that you can stack down the line and get a full CIM diploma if you're interested in upskilling and boost your credentials, because it's a very competitive job market, especially in marketing internationally. So that's definitely a way to separate yourself from the competition and get yourself some extra knowledge as well with all of these new updates and trends that are coming up in the marketing sphere. If you'd like to have a chat with me or a member of my team, then you can always click the one-to-one button, so you can book a consultation with me and we can just have a nice chat and see what's best suited to you for your current career progression and where you can go with anything that's on at the college. But otherwise, it's been lovely spending lunchtime with you.
As always.
Yes, definitely.
It's my favorite time of the week.
What will we be covering next, Robin? Do you know?
So the next one is all about how to get the most out of your MarTech tools. So
okay, perfect. So it'll be great to see you guys in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I look forward to it.